Hey guys, Ocarina here.
Welcome to the world of Pandora, a planet brimming with mystery and danger at every turn. But do not worry, the Eridians, who once upon a time were not so extinct, have left their mark on the place. And I'm not only talking about the ruins and vaults that they left behind, but also they left us a range of impressive weapons. And in Borderlands, it's all about the weapons. Because who needs diplomacy or problem-solving skills when you can just shoot your way out of any situation? Before starting, sorry for the delay, this video took a lot of time to make, for some reasons, but I hope you enjoy it. Let's continue! These Eridian weapons, characterized by their curved and organic appearance, are powered by technology that harness energy, unlike the conventional ammo used by most other firearms on Pandora. These weapons only consume charges from their magazines, and their energy is restored when the weapons remains unused for like a second and a half. Even though they have the infinite symbol in their magazine size, each shot depletes a portion of the energy from a hidden finite magazine capacity. The amount of energy used per shot varies between different types of Eridian weapons. In Borderlands 1, Eridians produce a wide range of arms, from SMGs to combat rifles to shotguns, sniper rifles and rocket launchers. These weapons were typically only found as green rarity, although the Nox DLC introduced a few legendary weapons. In total, we got 13 Eridian weapons: the blaster that could spawn in 4 different variants, the Eridian blaster that behaved like a non-elemental SMG, the wave blaster had ricochet projectiles that travel like a wave and deal shock damage and a bit of splash damage too, the ball blaster that fire energy balls that deal a bit of splash damage and could home in on enemies, and the Mercury blaster that had a much higher fire rate than the other blaster. We had the Eridian cannon and the Eridian mega cannon that fired a slow orb that created a large explosion on impact. The flare gun, the fireball and the firebomb are pretty much the same thing. They fire an invisible fireball that creates a fire explosion on impact. However, the firebomb also spawns 3 extra fireballs that split into random directions. The Eridian lightning fires a lightning bolt projectile, and yeah, that's all. The Eridian glove gun fires a small arcing bolt that creates a corrosive explosion. The Eridian splat gun fireballs that create a corrosive explosion and split into 3 more corrosive balls. The rolling splatter gun fireballs that bounces off 3 times and create a corrosive explosion on each bounce, and the stampeding splatter does the same thing, although it bounces 4 times, but it is pretty much the same thing and legendary as well. We also got the thunderstorm that fired a ricochet shock orbs in a broad spread that could knock back enemies. Now, let's not forget that these weapons were incredibly rare, so if you managed to get your hands on one of these, congratulations, you just won the lottery of guns. Just be warned that these weapons often fire very slowly and have a long cooldown, so don't expect to be the fastest gun in the west, or east, or wherever you are. Additionally, in Borderlands 1, players also had access to Eridian artifacts, unique items found through Pandora that provided bonuses to the player's action skill. These artifacts came in 4 distinct shapes, each corresponding to a different character class. In Borderlands 2 and 3, there is a change as to what is made by Eridians. We now only have relics, or called artifacts in Borderlands 3, which provide different bonuses to the player once equipped. Eridian weapons as we know them completely disappeared from the franchise, and they were technically replaced by E-tech weapons. These were first introduced in Doctor's Head missions Medical Mystery in Borderlands 2, and they were meant to be higher quality than purple rarity weapons. The reason being that they have been upgraded with Eridian technology, Eridium, which was the power source for Eridian weapons in the first game. In Borderlands 2, E-tech is considered a weapon rarity, with their characteristic magenta color, and the part that determines whether a weapon is E-tech is the barrel. They have special barrels with attached hexagonal stabilizers with glowing interiors, which gradually spread open as you fire their weapons. Now, this completely changes in Borderlands 3. They no longer have their own weapon rarity, but they are still variations of other gangs. The new E-tech weapons now have alien barrels that look like they came out from a Lovecraftian horror story. I mean, for real, these things are... Oh, he's crying blood. Yeah, I'm getting the f*** out of here. As you can see here, E-tech weapons are made by all manufacturers but Jacobs and Torgue, at least in Borderlands 2. Also, they get their respective manufacturer traits, meaning that if an E-tech weapon is Hyperion, they get more accuracy the longer you fire, if it's Tediore, they reload when exploding, and so on and so on. Although there are some what the f did I say? Although there are some exceptions when they get special abilities which make E-tech weapons even more unique. Now this is the fun part, so buckle up because we're in for a wild ride. All Vladof E-tech weapons in Borderlands 2 get the classic Vladof high fire rate. They make darts, pistols that shoot projectiles that could ricochet off surfaces and stick to enemies, and also had a homing ability. And Spikers, a second type of E-tech weapon that shoots projectiles that stick to enemies and surfaces, and neither of these weapon type is able of causing critical hits. They also made blasters, E-tech assault rifles with projectiles that could ricochet. We got the well-known Moloko sniper that had high damage, could ricochet off surfaces and pierce through enemies. And finally, one of the most loved rocket launchers by the community, the Topnia, that surrounded enemies in a large radius with damaging energy spheres, and also every third shot did not consume ammo. In Borderlands 3, on top of their high fire rate, the weapons get a second firing mode. Now Vladof only makes spikers, now called the push dog or push tag. Forgive me. By the way, you're gonna notice that each manufacturer's E-tech weapon has a unique name now. So the push dog comes with an alternate fire mode, a launcher which fires a grenade that explodes and leaves an elemental battle. The Bursum, an E-tech rifle that fires a sustained energy beam that can lock into enemies. Also, the alternative fire mode is a launcher which fires a grenade that explodes, leaving an elemental battle. The Gash Sniper can still ricochet, and it also has an alternative fire mode that, you guessed it, it's a launcher. But this time the projectiles are split into 3 small projectiles. We also got the Bangrong that fires a precise laser that can deal critical hits at the expense of no splash damage, completely different to how the Topnia work. All Tediore E-tech weapons in Borderlands 2 explode when reloading, you know, the standard thing. Tediore also manufactured darts and spikers, and also E-tech SMGs. And by the way, regardless of the manufacturers, all E-tech SMGs were called plasma casters. They had this special barrel with 3 muzzles and a flamethrower-like ignition underneath. I honestly like this design. The Tediore Splat Gun launches a single arcing explosive projectile that detonates on contact, and when it is reloaded, the thrown weapon releases 2 elemental bomblets on detonation in a high vertical arc. The Tediore E-tech launcher is called Launcher, quite Eridian name, I know. It fires slow-moving spheres which explosions causes enemies to be encapsulated by a blue sphere and also give this effect to nearby enemies. Right away I'm gonna tell you that Tediore stopped making launchers in Borderlands 3, probably because they didn't know how to name them. Tediore is the only manufacturer that still makes darts in Borderlands 3, now called the Lurk Shot. And also, it now leaves an elemental battle when the gun explodes. Actually, this new perk is also found in their new E-tech SMGs, the Giver Gun, and their E-tech shotgun, the Elder Blast. And yeah, they are almost the same as their original versions. Torgue did not make E-tech weapons in Borderlands 2, well, only 2 unique ones, the Source Explosion and Unicorn Explosion, and I'm gonna leave this here if you're interested. In Borderlands 3 this changed and we got the first Torgue E-tech weapons. We got the Protuberance, a shotgun that fires an explosive round in an arc which explodes into 3 more explosions, a bit similar to the Splasher Blaster from Borderlands 2. The Carbon Call is a spiker pistol that has ammo consumption based on the damage multiplier on the weapon. We also got the Lamp, the first Torgue E-tech launcher. Yes! It's terrible, but yes! The Blizzard that fires a very short-range flamethrower that varies with its element, and also the Blizzard has this ability that can increase its damage the longer you fire it, up to like 4 times the listed on the weapon card, which is pretty neat. Moving on to Hyperion, the E-tech weapons had their classic reverse recoil, they made darts, spikers, plasma caster, and the hybridification, a sniper that could also ricochet and pierce through enemies, but wait, that's not all, it also had reduced critical hit damage. Wait, why did I say that in a happy tone? That sucked. This splat-gun shotgun made by Hyperion launches a single arcane explosive projectile, which bounces and causes damage with each impact. Huh, sounds familiar. Its counterpart in Borderlands 3, the Host, fires a bouncing projectile that explodes every time it makes contact with the surface, and the projectile stops after the third explosion. Same thing, different engine. Borderlands 3 Hyperion E-tech SMGs, known as the Hive Mind, can ricochet unlike their original version, which only had the standard Hyperion accuracy trait. And now their new E-tech sniper, the Brood Mother, STL can pierce and ricochet like the hybridification. And you probably already know this, but Hyperion doesn't make pistols anymore. Did someone mention burst fire? No? No one? Well, too bad, because we're gonna talk about Dahl anyways. All their E-tech weapons in Borderlands 2 have their burst fire effect. They made darts, spikers, blasters, which were quite unique. I know this might look inaccurate, however it is not. What happening is that when you're not aiming down sight, you fire laser beams at 3 different angles and at different times. But when scoped, it fired all the 3 projectiles at the same time, and there is a huge difference as you can see here. They manufactured the Railer Sniper that had higher damage, could ricochet off surfaces and pierce through enemies. Now, in Borderlands 3 their weapons get access to different firing modes. Oh, qué elegancia la de Francia. They only make spikers, the Wyvern, the Plasma Caster, the Cadejo, the E-tech assault rifle, the Mangwa or Manga. This one fires a very long range beam of its element, and yeah, that's quite long. The Dahl E-tech sniper remains the same, although now it's called the Worm, and its projectiles can still ricochet a half pierced effect. Okay, before I continue, I just wanna say I'm sorry, I'm butchering the names here, but that's not my fault. Why names have to be so complicated in the... Now, Maliwan darts and spikers have a unique trait in Borderlands 2. They have a high damage but low capacity compared to other E-tech pistols. Their plasma caster have increased projectile speed. Their snipers, the Railer, could come with high elemental chance, and like all the other E-tech snipers, could also ricochet and pierce through enemies. And they also had an E-tech launcher, the PBFG, that caused enemies to take more damage after the first shot, and it was quite similar to the launcher made by Tediore. In Borderlands 3, Maliwan E-tech weapons did not change much. They have now access to 2 different elements and only produce the Devourer, a spiker pistol, the Heliophage, and well, we didn't get Maliwan launcher this time, but we got the first Maliwan E-tech shotgun, the Interloper, which fires an elemental disc that bounces once before exploding on impact, and I really don't like this one, I really don't like this weapon. Finally, we got the Antimatter, which is basically their old Railer sniper. Bandit becomes COV in Borderlands 3, and in both games their E-tech pistols are the same. The only difference is that in Borderlands 3 they only make spikers, the Blasphemy, while in Borderlands 2 they had the 2 different types. Bandit plasma casters are unique in Borderlands 2 because among all the other E-tech SMGs, these are the only ones that could ricochet. Sadly, there is no Borderlands 3 version because COV does not make SMGs, and also it doesn't make shotguns, which means that there is no newer version for the Splasher Blaster from Borderlands 2, which is kinda sad. But hey, they still got E-tech assault rifles, and yeah, they are completely different. In Borderlands 2, Bandit blasters only had a big magazine size and long reloads, you know, the usual Bandit trait. But in Borderlands 3, the Whisperer fires an energy beam that will quickly increase in damage at the cost of the beam's accuracy, and that damage can go up to 4 times the listed in the weapon card. And hey, that doesn't sound bad. Which is bad though, and actually terrible I would say. In Borderlands 3 there are no E-tech COV launchers, which is a shame because I would have loved to see the plasma cannon from Borderlands 2. I like this weapon because of how unique it was. I mean, look at this. Every time you fire it, the main projectile would drop more bolts of energy as it traveled. Oh, and yeah, I also like the Bandit for spelling. For the most part, E-tech weapons from Borderlands 2 made their transition to Borderlands 3 without many changes, for the exception of launchers. Ironically, the unique tech launchers in Borderlands 3 are the strongest launchers that you can find in the game. Oh, and talking about unique E-tech, I have a question for you guys. If E-tech is a rarity in Borderlands 2, yeah, I know it's in the game code, how come that there are E-tech weapons that are legendary, set out, pearls, effervescent? Like, how does that work? Personally, I feel like in Borderlands 2 they only had an exclusive rarity, so people could tell them apart from purples, and because they were the new Eridian weapons. I don't know, what do you think? By the way, Borderlands 3 brought us 5 unique E-tech weapons from Jacobs: the King's or Queen's Skull, the Seventh Sense, the Mutant, and the Rowan Skull. Also, something that only happened in Borderlands 2 were E-tech Relics, which were basically the combination of already existing relics: Vitality and Stockpile, Blood of the Ancients, Elemental and Proficiency, Bone of the Ancients, Aggression and Tenacity, Heart of the Ancient, Resistance and Protection, Skin of the Ancient. And yeah, this is the only game that has E-tech Relic. And also an E-tech Grenade, the Breath of the Remorphous. And yeah, E-tech Relics and E-tech Grenade, this is the only time that it happens in the whole franchise. Oh well, you'll probably think that I forgot about the Eridian Fabricator, a weapon from Borderlands 3 known by the community as the Gun Gun. It's more of a tool than an actual gun, especially if you consider its unique ability. It's only firing non-unique, unique and legendary weapons at the cost of Eridian. Like if Borderlands 3 was lacking ways to get more legendaries, huh? You know, I think it would have been absolutely great to see one hidden Eridian weapon somewhere in this huge game. I think everyone would have been happy, including me. But yeah, that's all I have to say, for real this time. This video took so long to make, and I'm sorry again for that, but I really hope you enjoyed it. So yeah, let me know if I forgot something, see you in the comment section as always, and you can find me on Discord. Bye bye!